Hello. Today I will be talking about Captain James Hook. Sorry, Captain James Kirk. All jokes aside, today I will be talking about Captain James Cook, specifically the controversy surrounding this memorial made for him. First, a brief history of this specific memorial. So it was commissioned by A.J. Hayman in 1937 as a gift to the city of Fitzroy. In 1937, it was originally put in the Edinburgh Gardens. Then, in 1985, it was moved to the Melbourne Maritime Museum. Then, in 1993, it was moved back to the Edinburgh Gardens. Then, in 2025, it was removed completely. This is just one example of the way this monument has been vandalized. It has been vandalized over a dozen times in the past decade, typically around Australia Day, which Australia Day is where Australians really think about what it means to be Australian. Typically, this vandalism has been in the form of either spray paint or simply knocking it over. This one reads, "Shame, destroy white supremacy, remove this." The most recent act of vandalism on this memorial took place in January of 2024. The statue was both knocked over and was spray painted with Cook the Colony. While this on its own would be scandalous, the main part of the controversy didn't start until earlier this year, about 4 months ago. The city decided not to fix the memorial, but to tear it down completely, citing budget issues. It was estimated that repairs for this instance alone would cost over $15,000, and in the past 6 years, over $100,000 has been spent on revitalizing this memorial. As is the case with everything, people have a lot of varying opinions on this. A lot of people are glad that the memorial is down, and a lot of people are upset about it. However, people on both sides think the circumstances surrounding it being taken down aren't great. A lot of people are saying that this is setting the precedent that vandalism works. That if they just don't think something should be there, that they should take it into their own hands. While it's too soon to really see what the fallout of this will be, I'll be curious to see if in the next couple of years there is a string of people performing vandalism just in hopes that it'll get taken down like happened here. The real question is, how should the city have dealt with this? While there's no way to go back in time, I personally think the best place to start would have been when backlash started. Either by rehoming the memorial or taking some sort of action to protect it. For example, maybe more cameras, maybe having it somewhere that it can't be reached or in a glass casing. Should the memorial even be up in the first place? Does it help more people than it harms? Does it do more good for the public than it does bad? I think it's best to use an analogy to explain my thoughts on things like this. Let's just say you had a relative who you are very close with that passed recently. You aren't completely over it yet, but you're working on it. You are likely going to have a much different reaction if you are the one bringing it up or if someone else is the one bringing it up. When you are the one bringing it up, that is you saying, yes, this is the green light, that this is okay for me to discuss. But if someone else brings them up unprompted, you might not be ready for that conversation at that moment and will react differently. I think it's a similar thing happening here with controversial monuments like this. James Cook is a very divisive historical figure, and I'm personally not a big fan of him, but he is still part of our history. But I'm also not someone who is directly negatively impacted by him. And even if he did do a lot of bad things and get a lot of innocent people killed, he did also do a lot of good by discovering Australia, New Zealand, and Hawaii. To me, this seems like a prime example of when something should be put in a museum instead of just out on display, where anyone can stumble across it. Like the analogy I used, this would be an example of someone starting the conversation, not having it thrust upon them. It gives people space to engage with this part of history and not ignore it. While not exactly a museum, I think the best place for it to go would be specifically the Captain Cook Society. First, because, as the name suggests, this is a society dedicated to all things Captain Cook. Second, as the screenshot shows, the society already has a page on their website specifically dedicated to this plaque. While I couldn't find anything definitive online saying what was happening to it after it was torn down, I can only assume that it was being destroyed since there was no mention of it being given to a museum or something like the Captain Cook Society. Either way, even if he's not someone that I agree with, I still think this piece of history should be kept, especially because this memorial is almost 100 years old. Thank you for viewing my presentation, and here's a good look at my bibliography.